What does that mean?
I don't know. I think he was just at that point.
He just wanted to say that. Yeah.
He wanted to educate
like a
us.
fact. Yeah. That was.
Maybe we should recruit him.
Oh man, because that was definitely a creative leave.
Yeah. I don't know what was up with the coin thing either. I didn't really understand it. Was he?
I mean, usually you're supposed to like.
Yeah.
Yeah, and blindfolded. That was. Yeah. It's all. The last 30 minutes are just a blur to me. I mean, just going, what's going on?
Yeah.
What was in that falafel?
This is the outside.
Should we get back to talking about our plans?
Yes.
Okay. You were reading along before, but you stopped. So do you want to just continue reading through the document?
That'll work for me.
Because then I don't miss any of the points we want to make, even though it's still annoyingly out of order.
Annoyingly out of.
Yeah. Okay, well that's kind of what I was talking about last.
Alright,
That's talking about the stamp thing.
Create little magical pockets. Is that also going into the whole like creating mythology?
I think I mean that more so in like
little magical pockets. We want to the enterprise can create little magical pockets.
Oh, that was kind of something that was kind of only loosely related to this, but yeah. I guess I just mean by that making little places, just making reality a little bit. I don't know how to tie that in, but it's related.
Is the Campo Chico's logo the pin? Is that what's on the website? Yeah.
That's Wind Plane from The Man Who Laughs. I described that in here. I've been using that. I've had that pin for years. I have a poster of it too because that was a Dean thing. That's what I explained to you.
Creates an air, prestige, and desire in the audience of animation creators. Showing up the illusions.
Just the idea of a guy who's permanently smiling.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, which was inspired by Gunplay.
I was doing that. Achieving sensitive psychological results and essentials on the grounds of miraculous.
Wait, where are you at? Okay, yeah.
Focus on creating a new generation of creatives who will be mechanics, music, studio, coaching, writing, I love that though.
Do you?
Yeah.
Because I see life like that, like an MMORPG or something. Level up yourself, you know?
That's what I want for myself. Exactly. I need to get away from using these other mediums to feel like I'm leveling up or something.
When you can be doing this right here,
real time. Now, I was having this conversation with a good friend of mine recently because he's addicted to Destiny, and I haven't been playing Destiny in a while. Yeah, and I haven't played Destiny in a while, and I told him like the reason why you don't see me online anymore is because I've just been focusing on other areas of my life. Even when I played it, I wasn't playing as hardcore as anybody else could. It's just not how I'm wired. Or it is how I'm wired, but I actively fight that urge to get sucked into that. And I enjoy it on a certain front, like to just, after a long day of work, I would want to go home and just unwind and play and just be mind-numbing.
I just see the parallels too overtly, though, that I can't ignore the fact that this could be me I'm leveling up right now.
I can't do it in moderation, so if I end up doing it, it becomes all-encompassing. It's a very slippery slope, and I think that's just the consumption part of me.
Consume play, that combo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like once it becomes a thing, it becomes almost like a priority.
Yeah.
Like that, it's a slippery slope, and I found myself there many times, but...
Because then you're not interested in reflecting on what you're doing, or intaking, or teaching it to bring it to the world.
It's all escapism for me. And it's all like, alright, I don't have to deal with my problems, I don't have to deal with what's going on around me right now.
So do some people have more of a tendency towards escapism than others, given those functions?
Probably so.
That would be very interesting. I mean, I think there are many, it takes many forms. See, because I could overindulge in alcohol or drugs or something because of my inferior functions. So... I wouldn't be as apt to do like video games or something, but I definitely have my own ways of escapism, even if that's just believing in a crap philosophy just because it pleases my already existing worldview, you know? I don't know.
Humanism, though. I think that's kind of what we're speaking for.
Yeah.
I think this has been something that people have tried to touch on through different eras.
But it's never taken a very concrete shape.
And how do you
or practical, pragmatic?
Pragmatic, yeah.
You don't see people going out there and being like with the activist mindset of like, okay, people, let's disperse, let's go into the world and do this. They just kind of sit in their armchair and go, that's nice.
Yeah, like they'll nod to it, but it's never become the core of a society.
Yeah,
as far as I know,
it never will be. But
no.
it can take over a certain section of the creative world.
Right.
I would love to see it do that.
I think we could breed more creatives. Like, I need to start with
the
me.
thought of that is beautiful to me. Just really helping the creators out and knowing.
I need to start with me, though. That's kind of one of the things. If I can build up my blast.
Yeah. I mean, I've grown. I'm a really highly developed person at this point in my life, but my consume still sucks. So my last function is, I still have stuff to do to myself to grow.
But the funny thing is, that's the function that I merit so much. Is that blast. It's the one thing I feel like I'm missing out on, and I like, that's what I want to be. I want to be that. I want to be the creative. I want to be the one who's writing music, performing music. It's
not creative, but it's the ability to actually explain it to others and to get it out in a way that others
can understand.
To get what's in your head out here in a form that doesn't lose what it was.
Yeah. See, I always thought by using my consume, I can get the tool set. Instead of creating the tool set. So I recognize, I like this and I like this.
So you tried to substitute for what was missing.
Right.
Kind of, yeah. I've done that too in my own way. I basically built a philosophy around why I don't have to acquaint myself with the outer world. You can see that from my bio. I shut myself off from everything, and part of that has to do with feeling inferior.
Function, though. Feeling inferior to other bodies of work, like other philosophers.
No, just like I don't know anything. Just like I'll never have any credibility.
Yeah.
It's just like I haven't read any books or watched any movies. I don't know what I'm talking about. So I'm going to make that my thing that I don't know what I'm talking about and see if that puts me on easy street. That was kind of my 15-year-old mentality.
Your mentality.
I've romanticized it, but it started off kind of as protecting my shame.
I can see that in you too. I can see that. But not so much. I can see you evolving past it now and finding different avenues. But
I've really come upon my own with just the sleeping and the building upon the known info and the unconscious mind. Because I believe you can still access the outer world through the inner world.
The inner world, yeah. Like
know yourself and you'll know the universe.
That computer you're trying to get access to in your dreams. That was a great analogy.
Yeah. Oh, that was no analogy. I did that. I just couldn't network it to the reality computer.
It's crazy. Creators of the creators. How lofty, but I really think is more of a wonderful undertaking than to equip a new generation of creators with the perceptions and then go on and create another.
The hyphens always just mean I'm just pumping it out so fast and there should be something here, but I can't think of the word quick enough. So
we talked about world building, and I'm aware that that idea did intrigue me. That could still be something that we incorporate into fictional landscapes, but at the same time, I wonder what it'd be like to play this practice. Of course, you want to bring it out into the real world.
Overlay, like an overlay.
Yeah, it is an overlay. But how do we...
And then I must also wonder, this is exactly what I myself have been doing all this time.
Yeah.
Think about how I see the world. Have I been world building on top of the existing one? Is that why this world is so interesting to me?
That's probably why.
I've kind of made this mythological overlay. That's exactly what mythology is.
Yeah.
You're taking real world events and colorizing it.
Yeah.
And I think that's so much funner than just making a metaphor.
I always found that so fascinating, like the personification of like these spirits. And
the Greek mythology and just
is
everything represents a trait, a characteristic.
A human-like one too.
Yeah.
Like Zeus would have extramarital affairs, and then his bastard children went on to. Yeah, it all paints an interesting picture because it all can be grounded.
And we can learn from it, even though I think
it's like
we don't always realize that. Yeah. I don't know if I've ever shared this with you, but I see life as an allegory. and I have always. I've shared that quite a bit on my blog.
An
what that means.
allegory in and of itself, right?
Like everyone is representative of a core concept, and what people consider like a soul. I think that we're all concepts personified, and I think that the meaning of life is essentially to understand what you are to represent and to really develop that, and then you kind of are that. Like, think about like the people you've known in your life. They intuitively you can see what they were to you. Like, this guy was a guide, he was a teacher.
Absolutely,
this guy was that
an enemy almost, or like represented.
It could represent emotions or even just tropes of characters.
Right.
I've always seen myself as representing innocence or chastity, just kind of an ignorance, I guess.
Yeah.
And all my stuff comes back to some form of purity. And did I explain to you the name of my book? Why I called it that? The Chastest? Okay, you know it's called that, right?
Yeah.
Well, that came about in 2011. I was trying to design my own tombstone because I'm a morbid suicidal. And I thought I wanted to say just Tendon Levy, the Chastest. And I thought, that's awesome. This is before I knew that in college that they try to get you to write your own obituary.
Oh, they do that as an actual...
I didn't know that at the time, but they do that in order to try to get you to get your life in perspective. Because if you want to be known this way, then you got to live it. So I did that exercise without realizing it was a practice.
It was an actual practice.
And I saw the Chastest, and I'm like, wow, I have to be this. I have to live this. If I want this, I have to earn it.
Yeah.
And what that means to me, it's not some kind of pretty maiden by the waterfront, you know, virgin.
Yeah.
It's not like that kind of thing to me, but it's purity, but not naivety. Naivety is just naivety, but purity is the virtue. Chastity is the virtue form.
Right.
Naivety is just like it's all there is. But chastity is purity maintained despite the counter-influence. It's innocence maintained despite the contaminant.
Yeah.
The
contaminant.
Yeah, it's just making sure that you remain color fast and pure in a world that's trying to sully you. That you are not. That you can go through the dark and not be dark, and you can go through the fire and not be burned.
Don't you think you're exposed to that regardless?
What?
Like the contamination.
It doesn't have to.
Through media or through, not media, but different sources.
I don't watch media.
Yeah, I don't either. But
it doesn't have to detract from who you are, though, and that's the premise of my work.
You have to be very conscious in order
You have to be.
Culture, and that's,
but it becomes nature.
Yeah.
My Latin motto that I signed.
I think so.
What?
In terms of myself and seeing how I combat, what I filter into
just it's natural to you at this point. You mean to shun certain
it's
things?
It's been a practice for so long. I've always kind of rejected. That's one thing that's always set me aside. It's just one thing
negative
I can't
influences.
relate.
Yeah.
It's like religion.
You become sensitive to it.
Religion has been kind of a constant void to where, like, I can pray with that guy and that did nothing for me, but I know it did something for that guy.
Yeah, that's why we do it.
Yeah, that's why we do it. But I don't really have a spiritual foundation for me to feel compelled to do that. I'm thinking more politically. But I just try to reject a lot of different notions, and I'm surrounded by a group of people who identify as either Republican or Democrat or something.
Yeah, just don't sponge it up.
I don't really, I don't sponge it. I'm just completely void of that.
Yeah.
I try to remain uncolored by it.
Yeah, that's my life goal, really. My Latin motto is magis quam ante, which means more than before. And what that means is, essentially, that it's important to me that all experiences in life do not subtract from but add to who I am as an individual. That's of the utmost importance to me. And so, a name like
that's so incredible.
You like that?
Yeah.
That's the core of me.
It's even through some of my experiences, like, for instance, the huge setback in my DUI and things like that. I feel like I'm a much better person, a much stronger person for having survived and underwent that. Like, even in the moment, I knew that was going to turn out to be an incredible thing.
That's how I feel about the everything happens for a reason thing. It's not like everything's good, but everything can be used for good.
Right. The triumph.
If consciously orchestrated.
The triumph beyond it. Like,
it's all tools.
The fact that I have a vehicle now and a license now after 2 years of going through so much stress and improvising on ways to get to and from, and all these other struggles, they actually help me. I'm much more proud of who I am today than I ever have been in my life.
It's great to hear.
But I do. The one thing that it all comes back to, the one weakness that I have, that whole like creative. I have a creative
blast.
block. Yeah, that blast.
Yeah.
I have a creative block. And
I wonder how that will change your life now to be aware of that, though. To be able to pinpoint it.
I think it's still going to take something else. I don't know what it will
Really?
take.
Not enough to be conscious of it?
I'm conscious of it, and I have been for a while. Like, I remember, it was like it might have been even 2 years ago, I posted on Facebook, like, hey guys, to everybody, everybody that I associate with. Hey guys, I want to start releasing music on this platform. Everybody was cheering me on. I got a bunch of likes and upvotes, and I knew that I had that support system, yet I just never did anything with it.
Yeah.
I was still stifled. I don't know.
Because probably because you feel like you still need to keep studying and researching and getting more and taking in new information.
It's true.
Constantly feel like you don't have enough to work with.
Yeah.
Is that right?
That's absolutely right.
I can't imagine that.
I don't know how to get to the point where I feel like I'm actually satiated and I have all the tools of the trade.
Yeah, and I mean, I think with the other day, it's just we said something like this, but then no matter where you're at, you'll just be like, oh, I need a new pedal, I need this new speaker.
Yeah, I need new studio monitors, I need some new pedals.
And that's not it at all.
See, I would need every single instrument and every single, to make the process.
I did all my stuff with nothing, and I'm going to be satisfied for the rest of my life with it.
That's crazy. But that is crazy. But then I hold myself to the same degree that I would, these artists that I put on that pedestal.
When it's funny because it's like you're idealizing them to a point that they're not even at.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And they're also getting a lot of help from the outside, whereas you're doing this all yourself.
Yeah, the point that they're at, though, I would die to be at that point. Like most of the people that I idolize.
Are we talking about their position in musical
the fact
history,
that
or just
it's
their work?
Their work.
So it's not their audience, but their work that you're after.
I don't care about their audience. It's
Good. It's all about
the audience. I could care. Actually, I don't like the audience all too much. It's not something I ever really give much consideration.
I'm always having to go like this to my audience. As much as I want to be their friends, I don't want their input.
Yeah, I can understand that. But then, it's the work. It's the work and the accomplishment. And I've always wanted to feel accomplished in that sense. I always wanted to look back. Like EMUC is one of the few things that I've done, and I don't associate with it. But there's still a part of me that's like, if this were in the genre, if this were a prog album, and I still wouldn't be fully. What's that?
You lacked expectations, and you didn't put your.
Yeah, that was the only time I was able to produce something that was when I lacked.
You didn't attach your identity to it in a way where it's like, if I fail at this, then I just suck as a creative person.
Yeah, and that's always been difficult for me.
I think you're putting too much. You're really. I don't know. I think you're making it increasingly more difficult to get started.
Probably.
And I think it's going to get harder and harder the longer you go on because then what if you get all that gear and you play and you're like, I don't know who I am. I don't know what to play. It's just like.
That's a thing too. Yeah. That's a thing too. Even now, my practices have become more and more sparse because I don't know.
No distinct vision.
Yeah, my vision has become a little bit more muddy. Because of
the obsession with the other stuff.
Right, so then I end up thinking, oh, maybe I should just start by covering something else. And once I cover that...
Not a bad idea.
Yeah, once I cover that, then I'll have the tools because I know what the parts and pieces of that compose that song. But
that might actually be a better way to start because you already know what you're doing before you start, and...
But it's actually worse because then I become so fixated.
You're comparing it to the other person's version.
I become so fixated on that cover, and my identity is behind that cover. That
really?
Yeah.
I figured it'd be like, oh, this is just a
stepping stone. Yeah, a tester. You would think, but then it's like that tester is indicative of me. That tester is a part of my identity, and I become so lost in that. I can't even do like a vocal cover of something.
Really?
Without.
You mean like a cappella?
Yeah.
Well, that's a lot harder anyway.
Well, yeah, that's a lot harder too. But also, like Vidya, she'll sing and she'll sing something, and I'll sing back to her. I have recordings of me singing to her.
Yeah, I've never heard you sing. I just got your instrumental stuff.
Yeah, I'll show you some stuff. I would have to pull up.
You a tenor or a baritone? Probably a tenor, huh?
More tenor, yeah. It's been a while since I've sang for video. I've never showed anybody. She's the first person I've ever sang in front of.
Really?
And it's a very recent thing. I've only known her 8 weeks. After the second week of knowing her. Yeah.
So you must have really just broken up with that other girl. Like within the last 2 months.
End of July. Early August.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you're dealing with it pretty well, though, I'd say.
Doing what I can. I mean, there's still some moments where I sign into my other Facebook account and look at her.
Wait, what?
Her stuff, yeah.
Oh.
It's polarizing. I know I don't know. Just going through it.
What was that, during a chat?
Yeah, I snapshotted it. Just talk so much. I'm trying to go back to a vocal recording.
You can send it to me on Facebook later.
Right?
Yeah.
I wanted to play it out loud, but I don't know how that would be. If I could scroll up and find that somewhere else.
Yeah, I hate the Facebook Messenger.
Yeah, it gets bogged
You can't
down.
access. I was looking for footsies.
You were looking for something that you'd sent a while ago?
I was scrolling through yours today, trying to remember the name of the company you worked at. I found it by just searching call centers in Lynchburg.
Oh,
I was trying to see how far you were from downtown, just to know approximately what time you get here.
Not all too far.
Yeah. That's so funny that we arrived at the same time.
That is pretty funny. I was not expecting. I thought you would.
And you were so cool about it. You were like. Had your glasses on.
Yeah.
That was such like a movie.
It's great. I was blasting. I think Cicatraz ESP.
Really? I couldn't hear it over my music.
Deloused.
Nice.
Yeah, that's what I was most recently listening to, because we were talking about it so much yesterday that
I keep checking back at your profile to just see the things you're listening to, though.
it's crazy. You probably won't. You'll find the same shit over and over again. Meshuggah over and over again.
Yeah, and
Leprous over and over again.
the ocean.
The ocean.
Keep seeing the ocean.
The ocean.
I re-listened to the
Pelagia.
Yeah, I liked that.
How did you feel about it?
I liked it better the second time.
Really?
I think the first time was just not paying full attention.
Yeah, you'll see.
I think his voice is a little too hardcore for me, though.
His harsh vocals are very much so.
It's hardcore.
It is hardcore.
I
listened to more of this.
Emptiness, yeah.
Very cool. And some of this. It's in my heavy rotation.
Oh, yeah?
I don't know why.
Do you like anything on the 2018?
I love
that's
the
very
Smiths,
varying.
But yeah, it's varying. It's like
a lot
one or
of stuff.
2 tracks from this song is one of my favorite Queen
The Prophet.
songs.
That's my favorite Queen. Yeah.
It's up there. White Moth, Black Butterfly. I love those guys.
Yeah. Do you know about them before? It's the Tesseract guy.
Daniel Tompkins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like them.
I like a lot of his other work. He did. Was it Sky Harbor?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. He's really good.
I didn't get into Tesseract as much.
So,
Yeah, I didn't get too into them. Like I said, but I do like White Moth.
Yeah, White Moth is really pretty.
Good,
Really.
good girl singer. And even some of the poppier stuff that he's sung for it, really
You
cool.
like, yeah.
Yeah, I like prog pop. That's a cool combo. Like Justin Timberlake, we were talking about that.
Yeah.
I just like when those
Did you
structures
say you
are
had like a
mixed.
10-minute song or 7-minute song?
Many of them are like 7-8 minutes with multiple movements that fade into the next song over a slow 2-minute period.
That's crazy to think, Justin.
And he's dark too. He's got some dark stuff. The whole 2020.
Yeah, that album.
That's 2 albums.
Is it?
Yeah, it's
Like a
very
double-
dark in
it's
tone.
Like a double album?
Mm-hmm. But they also combined it for another release. But yeah, it's very dark in tone. It feels
You were
like
talking
nighttime.
about, right here, you're talking about offering creativity coaching for years.
Yeah.
I think maybe you can help me out with my
definitely can.
process.
I don't like doing what people aren't specifically willing, though, because I don't like telling people how to, But if you want to hear some, I have a lot of secrets and ways that I
tips of the trade.
Yeah, just
so
like shortcuts and weird things to get myself started. Like just goofy things. Like I'd go on.
One thing, not to cut you off. Hold that thought. One thing that I wanted to do is when I go to actually practice and record, cut myself off from the internet.
Yeah, I did that for a long time.
Cut myself off from the internet because I'll look up a YouTube tutorial and that's it. Day is shot. Day is shot.
I've never looked up a tutorial in my life. I didn't have any training.
How do I play this? How do I create this sound? How do I mix this way?
I had a little poster with the chords on it next to me, but that was the extent.
What should my gain stage and my equalization be? Should I put
how to sound like the guy from CKY?
Should I put the delay in front? Yeah. Should I put the delay in front? Should there be an octave pedal here? These are things that I'm actively looking up. And then I'll just have like iTunes or Spotify.
Yeah.
Up, and I'll be like, all right, this sounds like this, so therefore I have to recreate this with my synth suite. Therefore I know, okay,
this
is done with the Prophet 5 synthesizer, and with these settings, and turn my LFO up here, and like it's all just that. Yeah.
Whereas you overthink it before you even start.
Before I even start, yeah. Very much so.
And I have the tendency to do that too, albeit not as much. But it was a lot easier for me to just say, screw it, I'm just going to improv. That took all the pressure off.
If I improved, I think I would have a hard time. Although I'm making a lot of progress with this voice thing, this singing thing.
What do you mean?
Singing to Vidya, and her confirming that she likes my voice because I value her. I think she's an incredible singer.
Yeah.
And I value her opinion because
ENFPs
both of us
they're not going to sugarcoat things.
They're not, and she tells me that all the time. Even when I self-doubt, I'm like, and I would always tell her like, I don't know, I don't have any science or theory behind singing, so I don't know what I'm doing. And I tell her this, and she's like, "What are you talking about? There is none. It's just a voice." And then
it's about passion.
She's like, "You can work with the breathing." And then the more I talk to her, the more she tells me or sends me links, I realize that it really is about passion. There's little to no science except for maybe how to treat your voice, and I'm like, it's really that simple, and I overcomplicate it.
You do.
Shouldn't be complicated at all. Like, it really shouldn't.
No.
And playing guitar, though, that could be complicated if I want it to be, and I oftentimes do want it to be.
Especially with tone and pedals.
So one thing that I
had one multi-effect pedal, that was it.
Really?
Yeah, that was enough for me.
I have one multi-effect pedal, but it does everything.
It was a vocal pedal too, and so I didn't
that's probably what you utilize it most for, or not even?
No, I'd utilize it for guitar. I didn't use any effects on my voice for like 99% of the songs.
Interesting.
Usually it would just be like an octave shifter sometimes if I want a low voice with my normal voice.
Okay.
Like, just...
Yeah. So, not to deviate too much from this, but I'm feeling like kind of like synapses are flaring right now because I'm just like.
What do you mean?
In my brain, like connections are being drawn.
Yeah.
Because I'm discussing like how my process has been stifled.
Yeah.
And I don't want it to be stifled anymore.
Oh no, I'll get you out of that.
I'm so introverted and I don't get started. Once I do get started, I get quickly discouraged because I'm thinking, well, what's the point? This isn't going to level up, so this isn't going to be as good as Leprous' latest album.
That is a crap way of seeing it.
That's the only way I've seen it, ever.
I cannot imagine that.
Really?
Well, I mean, for me, the important thing was being my own thing and being like nothing else. So that right there pulled me away from comparisons.
Maybe that's an approach that I need to take. But at the same time, if I'm not
even quality factored into that.
But if I'm not like what I like, then how can I like it?
I wasn't. I was just like, I wanted to find out how different I was from what I consumed at that point. And I had decided I'm done with trying to be this. Before that point, I was full on prog, 14-minute songs, long stuff, adding in always distortion, adding in solos, not because I enjoyed solos, but because
that's what you wanted to emulate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, what if, I was just like, let's just see what comes out of this. Let's just strip down, no rules, no expectations, all improv, see what comes out. And all of a sudden I start pumping out 1minute and 45-second songs, acoustic, with sappy emotional lyrics, somewhat crazy poppy structures, and I wasn't this sappy guy prior to that point. I was just I wanted to be this alien lord,
I think the alien lord thing comes across though.
Really?
In a sense.
In my stuff, because I just said almost immediately, and I just became like this.
It's alien because it's so different from anything else.
My stuff?
heard
Yeah.
before. Almost like, maybe not alien.
I
like
saw myself as like a
almost
romantic hero, I
demonic,
think. Yeah.
but not in
Some
demonic.
of it goes into angelic territory, though. It kind of phases between the two. I like that.
That is cool. But like, I
like
just
to think of
it's
it as
more
like a-
spiritual than it is science fiction.
My music?
Like, mystical.
Oh yeah, fantasy.
I was listening to it quite a bit. The little promo CD that you gave to me.
Awesome. Did you look at the ones I told you were my favorites? And
Yeah, there's one in particular, and I think it's this song, but I'm not sure. It might even be on your most popularly played. Is it this one?
oh, that's
No.
Countertorch. These are all Countertorch.
Yeah, these would all be Countertorch. It would probably be a Countertorch.
Was it Her Hologram of Light? Because that one's like the pop. No. Which, describe it. There's the one with the violins and the poppy funky beat.
It's very minimalistic, and it's mostly your voice.
This one goes into like a funky violin thing.
Skip ahead a little bit.
Mostly my voice. It wasn't the one that was just the freak out voice ending of the album. That's the last song.
Was it the last song?
Yep.
This one?
Yep.
No.
Not that. Mostly my voice. True Black Truth one?
Might be. Is that off
That's
this
a
record?
creepy one. That's like the.
Yes.
Oh, there's two creepy ones: Criminal Voltage and True Black.
It's Criminal Voltage. Is that off of Countertorch?
Yeah, Criminal Voltage was they just had the humming in the background, and
Yeah,
then
I'm
just
pretty
had
sure
like
this
3
is-
lines.
Was this on the second track
Second track.
of the promo?
This was on the. I don't know about the second track.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, that's creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the vocal performance on the album. Just, I loved it. It was so unlike.
How did you do this?
Dude, I went dizzy and almost passed out every single time because I don't have a chest vibrato. It was all in my head. I had to shake. I had to vibrate. That was my whole body vibrating. I would pass out. My eyes would go red.
And what's the music? In the, that.
That was my voice mixed with just like something on my sampler.
Really?
That humming thing.
Yeah, it's like moaning.
Oh, it's creepy as hell.
It's amazing.
I love it. Thanks, man. It's such a diabolical thing. It's like so regretful, but in a very creepy way. Like, what did he do? Sell his freaking soul? You know, it's just like I lost something
what
that
are
I
you
needed.
saying in this too?
It says like I've sunk my soul and head. You've betrayed my submission. So it's a very. It's a lot of this album deals with kind of wrapping up. It's like it's addressing all the things that brought me this far
what
and
did he
feeling
s-
betrayed.
It's all creepy.
And then this next like gargle right here.
What is that?
It's just a creepy goat mutilation.
What are you saying? Do you know?
Which part?
Yeah.
Nothing. That's just convulsions. That's what I would do. I would just sit there and convulse and hope that something really interesting came out of it. I would just shake and it was creepy because my jaw would extend, like really, like it would jut out, and I'd have to turn my head almost completely up to get the high notes, because I was having to stretch my larynx.
That's probably why your throat.
Yeah, my larynx like raised up too high and got like ossified. So I looked like a freaking demonic goat. I recorded myself video-wise once. I looked like a goat. My eyes would roll in my head, and I'd be like, it was creepy.
Man.
But man,
But it was Criminal Voltage that was stuck in my mind.
And then, do you know about the difference between the canonical and the neuter canonical albums? 8 of these albums are not main canon. They are albums of unfinished, unreleased songs that were never included in the rest of them. So many times they were either ones that I said that's not good enough, or in many cases I forgot about entirely because I make so much things, you know. I would just make something and forget all about it.
It's kind of like what we did with the Tridus.
The Mongrels, yeah. So I have 8 of those that are, and they sync up to like different times. Like here's Are You Late Night, Are You Sugar, and that covers the period between Ear to the Oven, and no, it covers like albums 7, 8, and 9. And so then you have Northern Thorns, which is.
Didn't you cite that as being one of the most?
Northern Thorns is
This has
crazy.
50 songs on it.
Yeah, that's because it's one of the neuter canonical. So it's all the extras and unreleased stuff. But that's a crazy album.
How do you feel about it, even not being canonical?
What do you mean? I mean, it's still part of my output, but it's in
yeah.
a special series.
Okay.
And Murray's Mine is the one that was all these albums. That was like
15 songs.
Yeah. This has some really good songs on it, though. This one's really nice and dream poppy. Sounds like a cool poppy song.
Is this Casio keyboard?
Cassia?
Yeah.
No, this was actually just MIDI controller through Fruity Loops. This one's a longer 3-minute song. Yeah, there's some poppy stuff.
It's funky, it's groovy.
Oh, it gets even groovier towards the end.
12 hours a day you'd work on this?
I can't even imagine how many stuff is still on the hard drive that I haven't rescued. I could probably pump out like 5 more albums at least.
What do you put them under? That's groove.
It seems like it's slower right now than it usually is. I like this one, especially. I liked my poppy stuff. I think I'll be. Yeah, Plaything of the 100, like.
It was kind of like this.
Violins, yeah.
Did you sample the violins, or did you?
That was just another Fruity Loops MIDI keyboard thing.
Ah, okay. So that's not you actually playing.
Yeah, it is.
The violin?
Oh, it's not a violin, yeah. This is one of my favorite melodies. The way this comes in. The guitar in the background. There's something so ironic and sullen about this. It's weird.
Wrong about it?
Sullen. I don't know. I'm picturing in my mind like the end of a movie where it's like I finally escape from this nasty life and get healed and then walk out of the hospital all happy and ready to celebrate. Then I get hit by a car and die and then the credits roll. It's almost like that. That's what I picture.
Ironic?
Yeah, and it's just this very sad but also like, oh well, kind of. I love the way the guitar sounds in the background though. It's the bending, and then it just ends on this.
What do you want me to...
Hmm?
Is it okay if we take off?
Yeah. Do you want to come by my place for a little bit?
Yeah, that's what I was going to do. I was actually going to swing by my house. It's not far from me.
Okay.
It's actually really close.
Do you need something?
Yeah. Something dumb.
Your condoms?
Yeah.
You forgot your phone?
There we go.
Alright. Okay.